Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 8 of the BamaPreps podcast. I'm your host, Vlad Valasuk, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mason Coleman. Mason, how we doing?
I'm doing good today, man. How about yourself?
Man, couldn't be better. Man, we had an awesome slate of high school football that just went on this last Friday. We're going to jump right into it. Mason, where were you at? I know you were at a game spectating. I went up north to Madison Academy to their big 3A matchup against Mars Hill Bible. Let's talk about where you were at, though.
Another week. I was at the Saraland Spartans versus the Briarwood Christian School Lions. Not much to say. Kind of feel like it's just copy and paste with the Spartans at this point. But yeah, Saraland did what Saraland does best, and that's dominate.
Briarwood was up 7-0 though.
Yeah, for about 30 seconds. Then they ran. Literally, Saraland scored on a screen. It wasn't like they scored on a deep ball. They scored on a screen 2 plays later. So They had the lead for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, you take any lead you can get. Did Briarwood try to slow the game down at all? Like, what was their strategy?
It didn't really work when you get down 28-7 in the first quarter because of turnovers and stuff.
Really, it was a...
Yeah, their quarterback was going to the ground, and he was like, I'm not taking this, and just threw it. And Saraland just picked it up.
Jeez, terrible. So I was at Mars Hill versus Madison Academy. Great atmosphere. Really good atmosphere for a 3. I was really impressed with, being on the sideline. It was raining. Not a soul left that stadium. Big old Jumbotron at Madison Academy. You can see we post about it. Just can't say enough about the staff. Thank you to Coach Hughes. He's their strength and conditioning assistant AD. Appreciate him reaching out. And shout out to Coach Clark, who is one of their linebacker coaches. He's the one who originally reached out to me, and that's how I ended up there against their game versus Westminster Christian, where they dominated. And in this game against Mars Hill, it kind of looked like more of the same until that Mars Hill triple option got going, and the game was close. It seemed like Mars Hill figured something out. They were able to really slow down Madison. Maybe they shot themselves in the foot a little bit. But at halftime, that score was 14-7. It became 21-7, and looked like Madison might ran away with it for a little while until Mars Hill scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter, got the ball back, drove down the field, converted a crazy 4th down with their great quarterback, and then literally 2 plays later, fumbles a snap. Mars Hill gets it back, wins the game, and they're moving on. Yeah, really impressive.
Well, Madison Academy is a 3A powerhouse, but we talked about it earlier when we went up there earlier in the year. The Coach Hughes told us their toughest matchup he felt in the playoffs was going to be that second-round game against Mars Hill. He was looking forward to it, and they got through a tough test. They were tested early. And, hey, big rule on defense. Bend, don't break.
That's right. Yep, and Mars Hill next week, not Mars Hill, Madison Academy next week will play Sylvania, who beat Winfield 35-10. So another big matchup for Mars Hill. They'll have them at home once again.
Madison Academy?
Yeah, Madison. God, Mars Hill. I got Mars Hill in the mind. Madison Academy. They play Sylvania next at Bill Washington Stadium once again. And I think that it's going to be a little bit easier of a game for Mars Hill.
For Madison.
Oh, my goodness, man. Yeah, for Madison Academy. And if they get through them, they'll have to face either Lauderdale County, who beat Mars Hill in the regular season, or Geraldine. Geraldine, really, really impressive. They were the 2 seed out of Region 6 down there in 3A. They took care of Susan Moore, and then they took care of Gordo, who, that game really surprised me. Shout out Geraldine. Keep getting it done. But they're going to have a tough test against Lauderdale County, who had a big win over Piedmont, 35-30. But we'll talk more in depth about 3A in a little bit. We want to talk about some coaching news that just recently happened. Coach Jamie Dubose, who currently coaches 4A, I believe they're 4A.
Or is Orange Beach 4A?
They're 3 or 4A. Orange
they
Beach.
move up. They move around down there.
Yeah, they've had a nice string of success, but this last season, I think they were either 2-8 or 1-9. Coach Dubose calls it a career. A historically great coach at Central Phoenix City. Then he went to Georgia for a few years to coach. Came back to the state of Alabama at Orange Beach. Got to say, what a nice place to come back to, by the way.
Hey, yeah, I would love to come get ready to go retire on the beach.
Man, look, if I'm coaching somewhere and I'm offered a job down at the beach, I'm taking that.
Hey, yeah. Orange Beach just became a pretty big job for people to take. I think it opens up a lot of opportunities down there with the new facilities being built as well. Orange Beach is a great place. They're definitely on the up. coming up in a few years, it's going to be Orange Beach and Gulf Shores running it down there.
We'll see, yeah, no doubt. And for lower class Mobile schools, I think, southern schools, like really southern schools, I think that'd be a great place to go down and coach. But Coach Dubose calls it a career, retires, but sources close to him say that he might not be finished coaching yet. Yeah. And with a great job like Opelika sitting right there,
you back where he used to be.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if he could come back. Another school I saw mentioned was Prattville. If Prattville becomes open, a little bit of a down year for Prattville this year. If that job comes open, could you see Coach Dubose coming back up to 7A?
It's coming back up to 7A. I mean, Opelika or Prattville. To me, he probably could just pick which one he wants to do, honestly.
I mean, I don't know how you say no. Let's give you some context here. Coach Dubose, in his last 2 years at 7A, went to the state championship game both years, beat Thompson in 2018 52-7, and then lost to Thompson, I think 40-14 was the final score of that 2019 state championship game. Obviously, that sort of kicked off the Thompson dynasty that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And then Coach Dubose obviously left. But a coach of his caliber at a school like Opelika or a school like Prattville, bringing them back to where they previously were, I think that's a dangerous thing that we could see happen. Obviously, just speculation.
We got to give credit, though, to Opelika. They've been able to hang in 7A after being a 6A powerhouse for a very long time. They're getting their feet in the ground. It's tough to fire a coach after they were competitive in pretty much every game this year.
They felt like they needed a change, though.
They did. He's been there forever, a part of the program. But, hey, there's a great coach in the opening, but I think Opelika thinks this is their move. They got to have their Nick Saban hire at Opelika.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, obviously, like I mentioned, we are just speculating right now, but with such a tough job on the market, it's hard to think, like, who would be a better replacement, who would be a better coach.
Who knows? They might come up here. We've seen how Nix and Etheridge are doing down there.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
they could go get him a really good 6A coach.
Or maybe a good 5A coach, but hey, we're just speculating.
So let's jump right into the main part of this pod, which is going to be playoff recaps, playoff previews, and we're going to talk a little bit about our crazy slate of 7A games that happened while I was up north. There were some really good 7A games going on. Let's start with Central Phoenix City. Rematch against Auburn. We spoke about this game in depth last week on the pod and how Auburn could have maybe had a chance.
I believe you said you thought it was going to be a lot closer than the first one.
It wasn't. It was not. Central Phoenix City wins 49-21 over the Auburn Tigers.
I believe it was like 49-3. There were a few garbage time touchdowns by Auburn.
Was there?
Yeah. It was not a pretty sight for the Tigers.
How about Central, though?
Man.
Impressive. It's hard to beat a good team twice.
Scary. It's hard to beat a good team twice. They did it. And look, man, it's just hard right now. Central is really making me question my 7A pick.
Me too. I have to say, the way that they're playing right now, it's hard to see them as an underdog. It's really hard to see Central Phoenix City as an underdog.
They're definitely taking that narrative and using it as some extra motivation.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that Central is going to have, I don't know. We'll jump down and we'll get into the preview in a second. But Mary G. Montgomery, fourth quarter down 10-0 to Enterprise, rallies, scores 10, scores a game-winning field goal, wins 13-10 over the Enterprise Wildcats. Just, they're winning these games over Dothan, over Enterprise, but they're winning them really, really close. Give me your analysis on Mary G. and where you think they are right now coming in a semifinal matchup against Phoenix City.
I mean, props to Mary G. Historic season. I can remember from growing up in Mobile, my uncle was the former head coach at Baker. I remember them playing Mary G. every year. And it was a little, Baker would be like 1 win, but they would go and beat Mary G. by like 50. I mean, it wasn't too long ago I was watching Mary G. be an awful team. People were wondering what's next. Last year you heard about the quarterback.
Yep.
Big offers. I believe he's committed to South Alabama, right?
I believe so. And if not, he has an offer from them. I think he's committed.
I think he's involved with South Alabama some way.
I should probably know this stuff.
Yeah, we are BamaPreps. Yeah, but great quarterback coming back. You felt like it could have been their year, and it's clearly a little bit more than their year.
12-0.
I mean, it's impressive. Each week we've kind of sat here. Last week we were a little more Mary G. favorites. Yeah. Got a little worried there when I was seeing the score. It just felt like they couldn't get anything going. But I mean, a big win over Dothan, a massive win over Enterprise. You can't I get you want to win state, and you want to beat Central and you want to make it all the way. But what a great season. To me, just going 10-0 and putting up a fight against Dothan was impressive. Great year for Mary G. But man,
do they have a tough second round game.
Or semifinal. I mean, gosh, it's going to be brutal. I can't see right now. I can't see Central Phoenix
The game's in Phoenix City. White hot offense. We posted about the elite quarterbacks that are in 7A. Our most recent post on BamaPreps. Go check it out if you haven't. It shows the stats of all 4 of the semifinal quarterbacks, and the most impressive has been Andrew Alford, and he's a starter.
It's pretty easy when you got DJ Upshaw and 5-star Cam Coleman out there.
Hey, props to him, though. He gets them the football.
He does.
That's all you can ask.
We watched him. I mean, it's not like he's making wide open throws to these receivers. He's putting balls where only Cam Coleman can catch them. And it takes a good quarterback to throw a good jump ball.
And especially when you're, I don't know, they double covered him a little bit. But whenever he's single covered, it's hard not to throw to him. And Central versus MGM is going to be our semifinal game. Let's make our picks. For me, it is, God, riding such momentum, but just the way that they have beat Dothan and Enterprise and the way that Central beat Dothan and Enterprise is night and day. The way Central beat Dothan and Enterprise was by like 35 points, by 30 points. Big blowouts, like off the jump. They came and they took care of business. And the way that Mary G has beat them has been very close games where you're not sure. Mary G was down heading into halftime to both Dothan and Enterprise, and they had to come and rally. I don't see them doing that against this high-powered Central team.
To me, Central Phoenix is kind of the Saralana 7A. When you get behind, it's really hard to play catch-up. We saw it when we went and watched them play in person with Auburn. Auburn could just never catch up. And anytime you felt like they had a shot, Central got right back with you. A little different story this time around for the two. But, man, oh man, and I just don't think this Mary G. Montgomery offense is built for a shootout against a team like Central Phoenix. But who knows? They might shock the world.
The offense, in some ways, has struggled in the playoffs.
It's not the same offense we saw dominate Baker.
And I think that's just a testament to how weak Region 1 has been this year.
Yeah, but hey, Mary G. representing down there.
Look, man, they've got it done so far, but I think we can both agree this is probably where the road ends for MGM.
The clock will strike midnight on this Cinderella story.
It's such a weird thing to say Cinderella to a team that's 12-0.
But it's just you never see a team like this here.
Yeah.
You never see every year it's Auburn Central.
Yeah.
So
like you're saying, props MGM. And I think if MGM played Auburn, let's say that Auburn was on that side of the bracket, I think it would probably be a Central Auburn semifinal.
Yeah.
And we know how that would have probably ended.
Yeah, it's a tough drawing. They've proven great season for MGM, but I think it ends this Friday night.
Now let's jump to the north side of the 7A bracket. We'll start with Hewitt versus Hoover. Okay. We both picked Hoover to win this game, did we not?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
40-7, Hewitt Trustful beats Hoover. And I went back and I watched that game today. Didn't have a chance to watch much of it live. It was defensive domination by Hewitt Trustful. They shut down any running game, any passing game that Auburn threw at them. They shut it down. And Peyton Floyd got the ball out to his playmakers. Also got the ball out to himself. Peyton Floyd is a quarterback that wins you games. I cannot stress this enough. If you look at his stats...
He was 7A back of the year last year.
Yes, he
was. They don't just hand out an award to anyone for the name.
That's right. I agree. The dude has over 2,000 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But what really blew me away through research is he almost has as many carries as he does completions. The dude's almost at 1,000 rushing yards. He has 18 touchdowns on the ground. What an offensive explosion. Yeah. And we see it every year with Hewitt Trustful, but it feels like this year more than most, they're in the semifinal game. This is one step further than they have been in a long time.
Gosh, I can't even remember the last time Hewitt Trustful has been like this. I mean, gosh.
And every year, before the beginning of the season, the narrative was Hewitt goes 8-2, they win their first round game, and then they either lose to Thompson or Hoover. This year, They're in the semifinal game. They just blew out, granted, a weaker Hoover team, but this, to me, is a much, much different Hewitt team than past years, and they have proved that this season. Say what you will about their loss against Spain Park, I'm starting to question that more and more, letting up 50 to that Spain Park offense. They have took care of business in these playoffs, and they're going to have a huge, huge, huge semifinal game against our next team, Thompson versus Vestavia. Again, another game that I was not able to catch live. Went back, watched it. Thompson struggled a little bit with Vestavia.
Always do.
14 at halftime, and the Warriors come out, score 20 unanswered, and win 34-14. Thompson looked like a much better team in the second half, was able to shut down John Paul Head in that rushing offense, and they walk out of Alabaster with another victory, another semifinal appearance.
What? How many years in a row is this? 5, 6?
Since 2018.
So it's 6.
This is their 6th year in a row being in the semifinal game, and they're meeting a white-hot Hewitt-Trussville team. We expected Thompson to win. We didn't expect Hewitt to win. You know, this is something that... This is a semifinal that is way more intriguing than in previous years.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a team, though, earlier in the season. I mean, Thompson, coming off a loss to Clay Chalkville, it was kind of like a put-up-or-shut-up game for him.
Yep.
And they showed out in that game.
They put up. They put up.
Man, Thompson gets up.
Stood on business, some may say.
Some may say. We had to bring in the reference eventually. We had to bring it in eventually. But, man, this Hewitt team is clearly not the same team that was playing against Spain Park. I think coming off the high of that big Vestavia win, they just overlooked Spain Park, kind of like Auburn overlooked New Mexico State. Like, let's be honest.
You gotta be, as an Auburn fan, God,
I'm a Jeff State pioneer, baby. That golf team, our cross country team had like 4 people make it to nationals. All right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, go Pioneers.
Jeff State alum here, by the way. Me too.
but
Anyways,
we're still enrolled, still taking classes.
Let's get back to this game. So here's the thing. Hewitt-Trussville, and this is what I'm going to say. We know Hewitt's offense can put up points. Can they do it against Thompson? That's the question.
And they haven't done it in a long time.
They have not done it.
I want to sit here and say it's going to be closer, but I also know that if I say that, Thompson's going to beat him by 50.
Yeah. Look, here's what I'm going to say about this semifinal game. Hewitt can get up for games, but they can also be unprepared for games. We saw the high of them beating Vestavia. We saw the low of them losing to Thompson. We saw the high of them beating Hoover twice, but we also see the low of them losing to Spain Park. This is, to me, a very hot and cold team, and if that offense doesn't get going early, it doesn't get going.
Yeah, I want to just point something out. They've played in some big games this year. Central Phoenix to open the season, didn't show up. Thompson.
Yeah, I didn't even talk about that one.
Thompson didn't show up. I mean, they don't show up for the big ones. I mean, they've shown up for some of them, but it's a 50-50 shot what Hewitt-Trussville team we're getting. Are we getting a team
it starts on Monday. It starts on Sunday in the film room. It starts with the preparation throughout the week. This is going to have to be a locked-in Hewitt team from Sunday to Friday if they want a sliver of a shot against Thompson. And I will say this, last season in the regular season, they lost to Thompson like 14-12. That was a winnable game for Hewitt-Trussville. I think that proves to me that Hewitt can win this game. There is, even if it's a small chance, it's a chance that Hewitt can win this game. And I'll say this, there's a belief in that locker room right now that they can beat Thompson. No doubt in my mind, they think
there's
they can
always
do it.
A belief in the locker room.
There's gotta be, yeah.
Being at the Thompson-Hewitt game, you heard it from the Thompson coaches. They do not like Hewitt-Trussville. So don't think Thompson's overlooking Hewitt-Trussville. They are wanting to show up and show out.
Yep, and this has got to be more, even a little bit more than the state championship game. This, to me, has kind of got to be Hewitt's Super Bowl. This, if they can beat Thompson, okay, you're in the state title. They are one game away from going to Tuscaloosa. This is huge, and it cannot be understated how huge this game is. With all that being said, can they stop Thompson's offense? No.
I think it's going to be a dogfight. I honestly do.
Really? You think?
I think it's going to take a fourth quarter to decide this one.
Wow, okay.
I'm going to roll with Thompson, roll with my 7A picks through and through. Going to stick strong since they're still in it. Unlike some of my picks. But, yeah, I think Thompson wins this. And I'm ready to move on to 6A. We've got some intriguing quarterfinal.
Well, let's not jump the gun too quick. My pick is Thompson. Let me say this. My pick is Thompson. Let's make that clear. But, man, this is an intriguing Hewitt team. And I don't want to overlook how intriguing of a Hewitt team it is.
This is the closest Hewitt can get for a while, I think. This is their year.
This is
what we've heard all year.
They gotta wake up. You can beat the Vestavias and the Hoovers as long as you want. You gotta beat the Thompsons.
You gotta be the man. You gotta beat the man.
That's right. We'll see what happens. Moving on to 6A, as you're so giddy to get to.
Hey.
We already talked a little bit about the Saraland-Briarwood game, so we won't jump to that. Let's talk about Hillcrest-Tuscaloosa versus Helena. This is another game we had on our radar last week. Could be a possible upset.
We had Helena, we had them pretty high on our Power 8, actually.
Yeah, we did.
Because we were really impressed with their win over Wetumpka. Now, don't get me wrong, this game was 21-7 at the end of the third quarter. Just, Helena turnovers cost them a lot. They weren't able to move the ball clearly the whole game. I played against Hillcrest. That defense is built to stop a Helena type offense where you're based around Jordan Washington. I mean, shoot, that's how we beat Helena. We knew we'd stop Jordan Washington, we beat Helena. And that's what they did. Yeah. Hillcrest dominated in the second half, but it was a slow start for the Patriots. It seems to be slow starts the theme of the playoffs for them. And you get off against a slow start in this quarterfinal game against Saraland. There's no looking back.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Saraland-Hillcrest, God, is this not the same game every year? It's been the same game for 3 years now?
This is the third year in a row. It's 1-1. First time Saraland's getting them at their place. I was at the game. You don't know how excited these Saraland fans are. The pyrotechnic, the lights. Oh, man. They're ready for Hillcrest to come.
The game is going to be down south in the Gump. It is going to be in Spartan Stadium. And to me, this is going to sound maybe a little brash, but I think Saraland can blow this team out. And that is it's going to be taken as disrespectful, and I understand that, and I'm willing to live with that. I think that this Saraland team won't be beat, and it's obvious in my 6A pick. Just the way that they put up points. God, I feel like a broken record. I say it every week. Just the way that they put up points.
Every week we try to find a reason for them not to put up points, but it's just like copy and paste. Yeah, in the playoffs they haven't put up 70 on a team yet, but still,
they did it twice in the regular season.
They did, and they did it against some good teams.
And look, I think that Bryson Kimbrough and Hillcrest Tuscaloosa is going to have a really good shot, maybe more than whoever these two teams face in the semifinal. I think that Hillcrest wants this game, but I also know that Saraland wants this game.
Saraland definitely wants it. They were upset they had to come to Briarwood to play Briarwood. Gosh, I just think I don't think there's a team in the state right now that can touch the Spartans. And I think they're going to keep on rolling. And I think the train's going to go all the way through, and they're going to go back to back, and we might see the start of a new dynasty in Saraland, Alabama. I'm going with the Spartans to beat the Patriots.
Same here. I have Saraland winning by at least a few scores. Moving down to the other side of the South bracket, Ben Russell took care of Hueytown 47-27. Surprising to some, not to me though. I had Ben Russell winning this game, maybe not by 10, but not by 20, but I had them. Sarah, what did I say?
You said Ben Russell. You're
okay.
Good, man.
All right, I'm good on
Madison Academy Morris Hill situation.
I'm good on this one. So I had Ben Russell beating Hueytown in this one, and they took care of business. The offensive, really good. Hueytown's got a pretty darn good defense, and they just put it 47 on them.
What? Yeah, Hueytown shut down pretty much Clay Chalkfield's offense early on in the season.
They did. So Ben Russell moves on, and they're going to face Pike Road, who just scored 31 unanswered on Spanish Fort's
impressive.
Defense.
I mean, Spanish Fort, Cole McCarthy, Sterling Dixon.
McConaughey.
My bad. Cole McConaughey, big Miami commit this past week.
That's
Congrats to him. Love seeing athletes prosper in the state of Alabama.
That's right.
One of the best places for high school athletes to come to.
So, Pike Road, Ben Russell. It's going to be at Ben Russell. Who you got?
I think, is it at Ben Russell?
It's at Ben Russell.
MaxPreps is saying it's at Pike Road.
It's in Alex City. That's what AHSAA is telling me.
I'll trust AHSAA before I trust MaxPreps.
That's right.
All right. It's at Ben Russell. Ben Russell's a hard place to win at. Played there many a times in my high school career with some pretty good football teams. Pike Road, though, great team. I'm shocked they're here, to be honest with you.
They have had a tough road. Tough win over Homewood. Tough win over Spanish Fort. They got another tough one. And if they can keep defying expectations, more power to them. But I've got Ben Russell on this one.
Yeah, you know what? I love seeing Ben Russell be successful. Great for a team that's been down for a few years. They got the talent. They know this is their time. I can see them making the semifinal game. But man, poor Ben Russell in the semis.
We'll get there when we get there. We'll get there when we get there. Moving on to the north side of the bracket. Parker, Oxford. Really, really close game. This turned out to be 21-14 victory over the Yellow Jackets.
Just like to say, I did say Parker was going to beat them in our playoff prediction show.
I didn't. This was a game that, for some reason, I had circled as an Oxford victory, and I stood by that. I stood by that on multiple different media sources. I know me and Unlock Your Game talked about it in depth, and he had Parker, and I just, for some reason, thought Oxford could win. Granted, this was a very, very close game, but at the end, the herd gets it done. The purple herd.
Is it? I thought it's like
it's the
thundering
it's
herd.
the thundering herd.
Parker thundering and herd,
they
baby.
Purple though, man.
The U.
They do have a U on their helmets, don't they?
Oh no, I love it. I love
It's
all the stuff Parker's doing. You're bringing exposure to some great athletes. You have great athletes, man. They're a fun team.
They are
fun team to watch. That Pleasant Grove game is one of the most entertaining games I've watched on TV.
And look, if they can keep finding ways to put up 20+ points a game, which is tough, I think they can beat this team that we're about to talk about. But Parker, moving on, they'll have them at home against Gadsden City, who surprisingly beat Hartselle 22-15. And, man, you want to talk about a team that kind of came out of nowhere? We had this team losing in the first round.
Hey, can we point out all 8 1 seeds here in the quarterfinals?
That's right.
6A,
that's right.
Big.
It went as expected with the seeding, but maybe not upset-wise.
Well, we picked Gadsden City not even being past in the second round.
Yeah, they have came out of nowhere. Been in Titan Stadium for both weeks. Took care of business both weeks. But now they got to travel to Beeham. They got to travel.
Trip.
They got to travel to face a pretty darn good defensive football team. Who you got, Gadsden City? Who you got, Parker?
Gadsden City has a great defense as well. Draker Patrick Jr. locking up some receivers. But man, like you said earlier, Parker scores 20+. That defense is probably not letting up much more.
Nope. And you saw that against Ramsey. You saw that against Mountain Brook, and you just saw that against Oxford. That defense can win you football games.
And I think they're going to win. Defense wins championships, and right now they're winning it for Parker, and I think it keeps going. I got the Thunder and
I've
Herd.
got the Herd in the semifinal as well. Now jumping down to the other side of the North bracket, Muscle Shoals was down 6-7 at halftime against Fort Payne, and then just offensively scored 41 points by the end of the game. They beat Fort Payne 41-10. They move on. Clay Chalkville, Mountain Brook.
What a game, man. I think we sat here and talked about this game has a chance to be reminiscent of the 21.
I'm going to be honest here. I thought that Clay Chalkville would win this one by a little bit more than what they did. They win 17-13 over Mountain Brook.
Barely. 1 yard away is what I saw.
Yes.
I haven't seen a video of it.
Mountain Brook had multiple chances to win this game. They were leading at some points in this game.
They had the ball with less than 4 minutes, I believe, in the 30.
They were in the red zone
twice and couldn't score.
Couldn't do
just it. Tough.
That's how close we were to Mountain Brook being in the semifinal in a rematch against Muscle Shoals. That's how close we were. But it's not. They find a way. They play up the competition. They play down the competition. The Clay Chalkville Cougars found a way. That's all you can ask for. And they've got a big, big game having to go all the way up north to JF Moore Stadium in Muscle Shoals. Tough place to play. Tough place to win at. Man, is this a tough game to pick. Who do you got?
Look, Clay... Gosh, I don't know. I feel like that 17-13. They're big on redemption. You see it everywhere with their posts. They got one goal in their mind. To not be embarrassed like they were last year. They want to prove a point. They want to show that Mountain Brook game was a little too close for their liking. And I know I picked Muscle Shoals in my playoff prediction, but give me the
Dang,
Cougars.
you did, didn't you?
But I got to change my mind. I'm going with the Cougars to win this one and make the semifinals. I don't know. It's just something when they have these close games, they go and just dominate the next week. I'm going to take Clay Chalkville in this one over Muscle Shoals. I just don't think Muscle Shoals has the talent to match up with a great Clay Chalkville team.
And the most surprising thing to me was just how well Mountain Brook's defense was able to defend
Mountain Brook's a
Craven.
great coach team. Coach Yeager's doing a great job making them a powerhouse in 6A. Made them a powerhouse in 7A. A competitive.
I don't know if powerhouse.
A competitive team in
a good team.
A competitive team in 7A.
It's tough to be a good team in 7A on a regular basis.
It's tough to be a good powerhouse in the Metro.
Yeah.
Look.
And look, my pick, call it Birmingham bias, call it what you will. I'm going with the Cougars as well, but this could easily be a Muscle Shoals win.
Yeah.
Especially if
The
they're
Trojans
able
want to get back to it.
Especially if the Trojans are able to shut down that offense, kind of like what Mountain Brook did. I think that Muscle Shoals has more scoring capability than Mountain Brook, if that makes sense. I think that they are able to put up points. I think, and you've seen that against Pinson Valley, against Fort Payne. They put up 40+ in each game. I think I don't know if they'll score 40+, but I think this game has to be high scoring if Muscle Shoals wants a shot at it. That's it for our 6A bracket. We'll move down the road to 5A a little bit, and we'll start off with Gulf Shores, Charles Henderson, the top of the South bracket. Man, Gulf Shores took care of business, 41-0 over a Trojan team that some people thought, hey, maybe something can happen here.
What, they made the state championship last year with pretty much the same team. So
yeah.
it was
a very young team last year.
Very impressive win for Gulf Shores in this one. Looked great. They're rolling. The pass is in the pass for them. Great team. And it's hard to pick against those Dolphins.
Yeah, man. Gulf Shores is going to have a third round matchup against Headland. Headland, who has been sneaky good. The Region 2 3 seed beat Holtville by 10. They just beat UMS Wright by 14. And they have it at home against Gulf Shores in J.J. Yarborough Stadium in Headland. It's what it is.
Yeah,
but this to me just seems like a Gulf Shores win.
Yeah, I just can't pick against the Dolphins right now.
They're my 5A pick. I can't either.
Look, I was hoping Central Clay County would be in this situation, but they are not, so I'm going to take the Dolphins. Man, high school, the ferocious Dolphins are coming to town, baby.
All right. So, moving down to the other side of the South bracket, Demopolis keeps winning. They beat Carroll by 3. They beat BC Rain by 7, having to go down south in Mobile. They beat Rain 13-6, and they're going to face Eufaula, who beat Shelby County. They just beat Faith Academy. They just blew out Faith Academy.
Impressive.
41-14, and they're going to have to go to Demopolis, to Tiger Stadium, to face Demop.
Demop, baby.
Who you got in this one, Eufaula or Demopolis?
Look, Demopolis has been in close games all playoffs. They find a way to win. But I don't think they find a way to win in this one. I'm taking Eufaula. Man, Eufaula is just dominating right now. That offense is hot, it seems. I'm going to take Eufaula to get a big head to the semifinals.
I'm going to go the other way on this. I think that Demopolis uses that home energy. I think that they're able to get this thing done. And I think that they match up. They don't match up. They match up against Gulf Shores. They will play Gulf Shores.
That will be good one, but good one. Thanks, Captain Obvious. If they win and Gulf Shores wins, they will match up.
All right.
You're right.
All right,
Two teams will take the field, and it'll be 0-0 at one point, and that ball will be kicked left or right, and one team will walk out victorious.
Let's move to the north. Shut up. Let's move to the north. Ramsey versus Leeds in Lawson Field.
Legion Field.
It says Lawson on
It's Legion.
BamaPreps.
It's Legion.
It maybe is it Legion Field, the Legion Stadium? Am I tripping?
They played at Legion.
It says Lawson Field right
It's
here.
Legion. Everybody knows.
And this one says Lawson Field against West Point. They played it in.
What is AHSAA doing?
Oh my goodness!
Shout out AHSAA.
It's the Grand Old
better
Lady.
in the game.
I think Grand Old Lady is what it's called. Moving on, Ramsey beat Leeds 42-7. I think we kind of saw this coming. Ramsey's offense, whew, man, has it been good.
Gosh, you get back Ashford. I think their backup running back, or I wouldn't even call him a backup, just the second running back option, had like 7 carries for 150 yards. It was clear Ramsey wants
The Rams offensively are buzzing right now. They have 92 points in 2 games in the playoffs, and they've only allowed 7. They have played a pretty good Leeds team, but I think they're also gonna match up very well against Moody, who beat Russellville 42-21. That game was close early, really close early. I think it was like 21-14 at a point, maybe either way, I forget. But Moody wins that game 42-21, and Rams is gonna have to travel to Moody to Bill Morris Stadium. Who do you got, Moody or Ramsey? And I'll say this: it's really tough to pick against the Rams right now.
It's hard to pick against the Rams. We saw they have a common opponent now, and Leeds beat Moody barely, blocked field goal. But look, Coach Gannis, he's going to be big. That home field advantage for Moody's going to play a big part in this one. But it's the Ramsey Rams, man.
I don't think it's going to matter.
I just don't see a Moody defense being able to stop Ramsey's offense, and I don't see a Moody offense being able to move on a great Ramsey defense like many expect. Amon Lane coming back was huge for Moody in the second round, but I think Ramsey ends Moody's run here. Props to Moody for finally getting to the quarterfinals after a tough second round exit last year.
The Moody-Scottsboro game was a little close for comfort. The Moody-Russellville game, a little close for comfort. And this is a different team that they're going to have to face.
This isn't a team. You can't keep it.
This isn't a 5A North team. This is Ramsey. This is the defending state champions.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
This is the powerhouse of Birmingham football.
There we go with that Beeham bias again. Everybody says it.
Call it like it is,
We're calling it like it is.
When's the last time Region 4 beat Region 3? I can't remember. Sorry. Just calling it like it is.
Jeez, man.
Look, you call us out.
That's 7A. That's not even. That's not even.
But they try to call us out for this stuff.
All right. We're not. Hey, man, world ain't against us. We're just on a podcast.
Man, hold on.
All right, here we go. Let's move down the list. Guntersville beat John Carroll 20-17, and then for the other matchup, Pleasant Grove took care of Boaz 49-7. That brings Guntersville and PG together in a good third round game. It's going to be at Guntersville at Chorley Stadium, but it's hard to pick against the Spartans right now. Quarterback Eric Hanley. They are a well-oiled machine on offense. I got to go PG here.
They're used to these deep playoff runs. They do it year in, year out.
They've got to finish the job.
They've got to finish the job. They haven't been able to do it here in a while. Guntersville, really close one against not the best John Carroll team, but found a way to turn it on in the playoffs.
PG was able to take care of John Carroll in the regular
handily. No, any of the teams, Ramsey and Pleasant Grove dominated John Carroll. Yep. Great year for the Cavaliers up in Homewood, but I don't see Pleasant Grove stopping them. Call it Birmingham bias. Pleasant Grove,
God, we're all about
Spartans won it.
Bias,
gosh, man.
God. Anyways, that's it for 5A. We'll move to 4A now. Really, really big game at the start of our talk on 4A. That is Jackson and Andalusia. This game, God, was probably the toughest one to pick, but it was obviously not the toughest one to play for the Jackson Aggies. 31-7 over Andalusia in Jackson. They get it done handedly. Let's speak on this game for a little while and just how good that Jackson offense and defense played. They look like a really, really complete team right now.
Yeah, look, Jackson hasn't proved to me that they belonged early on in the season, but this game right here, you knock off the 4A defending champs who returned to most of their team.
Jamarian Burnett, Landon Marshall.
Looked great all year, and you just dominated them. I mean, on all 3 phases of the game, you handle business. Jackson, what a win. Massive win. They might have a shot to win it all.
And they're going to be playing Booker T. Washington, who just beat Hanley 22-9. Hanley, a good team. I picked Hanley to win that game. BT Washington keeps advancing. Jackson's going to have to go to Tuskegee, to Eagle Stadium, to play BT Washington. Does that matter for this Jackson team?
Yeah. Look, BT Washington, I think Andalusia is definitely a tougher opponent than BT Washington for Jackson. No slight to BT Washington at all.
No, great run for them. Beat American Christian, beat Hanley, 2 pretty quality teams.
Yeah, but this Jackson team, they're playing with a purpose, and they still got Landon Duckworth for a few more years. So
they've got that running back for a few more years. They're a
really young team that is finding a way to win now. Great job. Undefeated. I say they keep rolling.
I'd say so too. I've got Jackson in this one. Move down to the other side of the South bracket. Jacksonville barely beat Bibb County 28-21. Here's the thing. Montgomery Catholic only beat T.R. Miller 24-14. That, to me, that raises some eyebrows to me. Yeah. Because Catholic was my pick, and they took care of business against West Blockton, but this win, it's only a 10-point win. Granted, T.R. Miller is a good team. I don't think they're a Montgomery Catholic level good team. And maybe I'm looking a little too far into this, but to me, this is kind of... It puts a little bit of doubt in my mind about Montgomery Catholic. Seeing the way that Jackson took care of Andalusia and seeing how close the Catholic-Andalusia game was, it sort of makes me want to change my pick to 4A to Jackson. And that's sort of how I've been leaning these past couple of days. Seeing that game, seeing these scores, to me right now, I'd probably switch my 4A pick to Jackson. It's kind of tough to roll with Catholic right now, but they match up with Jacksonville in the second round. To me, in my opinion, this should be another Catholic victory. But Jacksonville's also played some good teams. Like, obviously, big win over Bibb County. They beat Bayside, who is another good team out of the South. Who you got, Jacksonville or Catholic?
I'm going to keep rolling with Montgomery Catholic. Really close win. Glad you pointed it out over against T.R. Miller. A little close for comfort, like we talked about with Moody and 5A.
They got it done, though.
They won. I think they can win and move on to the semifinals. But, man, I need to see Jackson again. See what they do against BT Washington. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I think that is what will contribute to our semifinal pick. Let's move over to the north side of the bracket. Brooks, who is the Region 7 3 seed.
Gosh, this
put up
offense.
56 against Aniana, and then they just put up 70 against Priceville. And they've let up 42 in both matchups, but God, they are rolling right now offensively. And they're going to match up with a Westminster Christian team that just upset Deschler. I don't know if upset's the right word. They beat a really good Deschler team, 39-35. How do you pick this game? Brooks out of nowhere.
Brooks, there seems to be one problem. They're letting up a lot of points.
And we know Westminster can score a lot of points. I know Brandon Mush can score a lot of points.
Yeah. What, is he the all-time state record holder for total yards?
He's close. He's right up there with...
Bo Nix?
Nix and Jack Haynes.
The one from, was he Piedmont?
Piedmont, yeah.
Yeah, he was there for a while. But look, I think we might have ourselves a shootout in 4A. And look,
it'll be at Brooks, in Killen, in Ed Redding Stadium. You know, for me in this, honestly, man, God, I got to pick Brooks here.
You're just going to keep with the momentum
rolling.
I
got to, man. Just
once you get going, it's hard to stop.
What surprised me the most is their win over Aniana. And I guess now you're kind of looking at it like, yeah, look at that offense. But, man.
This offense is clicking. And I think it's going to click all the way into a semifinal game for them.
It really could. Let's jump down to the other side of the 4A bracket. West Morgan took care of Corner, 35-14. And Cherokee County took care of Haleyville, 49-14. This is going to be a game played in West Morgan. And Cherokee County made a run to the state title game last year. But I think this is West Morgan's year, and they've beat good teams. They beat a good corner team, a surging corner team. I think they keep going. I think they beat Cherokee County here.
Look, wasn't Cherokee your pick to make it out of the...
Yeah, I think they were.
The North and 4A. Look, Cherokee County, this West Morgan team is starting to impress me. They're undefeated. Cherokee County has that one blemish. I'm going to keep going with Cherokee County in this one to win it and make it to the semifinals, but I believe my pick to come out of this North and was Aniana, and they're not even in it anymore. No, so my new pick, I guess we're setting up my predictions of Cherokee County Brooks semifinal.
And now we are going to 3A. We'll walk through these a little bit faster. Mobile Christian beat Houston Academy 35-10. Trinity beat Flomaton 35-0. This game will be at home for Trinity in Montgomery. I think this is still a Mobile Christian team, undefeated, look really good. I don't see them slowing down.
Mobile Christian, a great team. 3A, they've been pretty good in 3A. Here recently they made the state championship. Was it last year I think they made it? Or
Christian?
Mobile Christian. They've made it here recently.
They've been around. I think they lost to St. James in the semifinal last year.
They're used to these deep runs. They're built for it. I think they get the big win over Trinity.
Okay, moving down. St. James beat Randolph County 41-6. And Thomasville beat Strawn 33-21. St. James, defending state champions, will have to travel to Thomasville, to Anderson Field. I think this is still a St. James victory, though. Thomasville, the 2 seed out of Region 1. Pretty good team down south, but I think that the Trojans and KJ Jackson in this offense are just too much.
St. James is my 3A pick. I'm sticking with him.
Now moving to the north side of the bracket. Geraldine, big win over Gordo. We spoke about this earlier on the pod. 42-34 over the Green Wave. And Lauderdale County with a close win over Piedmont 35-30, which sets up a really, really interesting third-round matchup. Big quarterfinal game. It's going to be at Lauderdale County. I think that they get this one done. They have been rolling. They were, really big region wins earlier this year. Beat Mars Hill earlier this season. Still undefeated. I've got Lauderdale County.
I'm going to keep rolling with Lauderdale County as well. Shout out Geraldine for a big win over Gordo. Didn't see that one coming, but shout out to him. Lauderdale County, I see him making it to the semis.
And then we moved down. This was obviously where I was at, Madison Academy versus Mars Hill. We already spoke on that 21-14 win. And then Sylvania beat Winfield, which sets up a Sylvania-Madison Academy game. Played in Bill Washington Stadium, home of the Mustangs. Like I said earlier, I think that this is much less tougher than their game against Mars Hill. And for that reason, I've got Madison in this one.
Yeah, I like Madison Academy. Ken Cherry, that offense, they're dangerous. I think once they get going, and it seemed they weren't a little struggle, but again,
really good team.
Good Mars Hill team. I've got Madison Academy headed to the semifinals in this one.
And then 2A, our matchups are going to be Clark County versus B.B. Comer. B.B. Comer just beat a pretty darn good Highland home team who was the 2 seed out of Region 3. The only reason they were the 2 seed is because they lost to Reeltown. And Reeltown, in their own, is a really, really good team. I've got Comer over Clark County in this one.
Yeah, I think I have BB. I really don't remember. That was a long time ago. But I believe I took...
we all had Comer.
I think we might have had
Comer.
Oh,
no, I took Fork.
You did?
Did you have 5?
I had BB Comer.
I think you had 5.
But I had BB Comer in Reeltown in the semis, I believe.
Oh, really? Over? Yeah, okay.
So, yeah. But, yeah, I think I'm going to keep rolling with BB Comer. That's a offensive powerhouse led by a great running back. I just don't see him stopping right now.
And then we have Reeltown, who beat Thorsby 48-14. Cottonwood beat Isabella by 1 point. Reeltown has been the really, really surprisingly good team out of Region 3. The 1 seed this year, I have them beating Cottonwood.
Yeah, I'm going to keep rolling with Reeltown, baby.
Now we'll move to the other side of the 2A bracket. Tuscaloosa Academy took care of Southeastern 38-6. Pisgah, man, they scored a lot of points against Tanner, 66-38. Pisgah is going to play TA in the quarterfinal. In this one, I got to go with the Eagles. Pisgah looks really good.
Man, Pisgah, 110 points.
Now let's say this, though. Shout out to Tuscaloosa Academy and shout out to the dude who keeps tagging us in every post.
Everything. I mean, even on Twitter, he's messaging us every post.
Preston Lancaster, really, really good quarterback. I don't think it matters, though. I think it's just...
This offense is insane for Pisgah, and I think it keeps them rolling into the semis.
Now let's talk about the biggest game in 2A. Locust Fork at Paul Benefield Stadium. The dude's the head coach. He's already got the stadium named after him.
Paul Benefield, when you win state championships, you get it named.
This 5 team has been a red machine. God. And they just beat Lexington 57-24. Oh, God, this is going to be a tough one to pick. Fork was my 2A pick, and I knew going into that pick that they were going to have to play Fife. We knew that Fife was going to be the team that came out of the other side in this quarterfinal, and oh my goodness, is this a tough one. I'll say this, though. I got to go with the Hornets. Man, this game is going to be at Fife, which doesn't raise my confidence as much. This was a game I wanted to be at. I'll be at Hewitt-Thompson, but this was probably going to be that next one that I wanted to go to. Just because of how big of a 2A matchup this is. You had 5 as your pick, though.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep rolling with them. They haven't shown me anything to pick against them right now.
No, that's very fair. That single win keeps rolling for 5. Let's move to 1A a little bit, and we'll talk on 1A, then we'll get into our Ask BamaPreps. Leroy will have matchup against Brantley. Leroy defending state champs, but shout out Brantley, big win over La Chapoca. Maplesville beat Sweetwater 28-21. I think a little more surprising there. And then Elba took care of business against Milry 47-28. On the other side, Coosa Christian keeps winning games. They just beat the 1 seed out of Region 5, Lynn. Coosa record obviously doesn't show the team that they are. They had some wins taken away for eligibility issues. They're going to face Hackleburg, who beat Valleyhead 33-8. Pickens County beats Winterboro 38-29, and Wadley beats South Lamar 81-27.
Gosh.
Let's pick these real quick. I have Leroy beating Brantley. I have Elba beating Maplesville. I have Coosa Christian beating Hackleburg. And I have Wadley beating Pickens County. How about you?
You know what? I'm going to do the same thing as you. Leroy over Brantley, Elba over Maplesville, Coosa Christian over Hackleburg, and my pick to win it all in 1A. And then you can't pick against a team that just scored 81 points. I've got to go Wadley.
So, that will do it for our recap and predictions for 7A through 1A. Now we'll get to my favorite part of the BamaPreps podcast. Ask BamaPreps. We ask the question. We don't ask the question. You ask the question. We answer the question.
We give you the best answers.
We try to give you the best answer. And I'm looking at one right here that Jackson Melton asks, when will you stop doubting Hewitt? I guess we doubted him. I guess
we did.
We doubted him last week.
We did. I think we made him a little mad by putting them. We put him at 7 in our Power 8.
Yeah, we put Hoover at 4.
Gosh, man, we rode high on Hoover. We
were very high on Hoover.
I think we'll stop doubting Hewitt when they finally beat Thompson. I think that's what
they got to beat Thompson.
You got to beat Thompson.
When we stop? You got to beat Thompson.
You got to beat the man.
Very good year for them, though. Nonetheless, very good year for Hewitt. We, some great dudes on that team. I got to speak with a bunch of them after their big win over Vestavia when I was on location for that one. Shout out Hewitt. Got to beat Thompson, though. We'll move down the list here as I am looking. Let's see here. Let's find a good one. Who do you think will win the 1A state championship? We both had. You had Leroy. I had Elba. Wait, or did you have Coosa Christian?
Did I have Coosa?
No, you had Leroy.
I think I might have had Leroy, but I think I have Coosa Christian coming out of the North 1A. I think it's going to be. Let's see. Gosh, why is the post so low?
I'm posting a lot, man.
It's like we're trying to get followers or something.
Jeez, man. Here, I'll just keep walking down the list here while you find that. It says, who wins the Muscle Shoals Clay Chalkville game on Friday? We spoke about that one a little bit, and we both picked Clay. Now, that was without some hesitation.
Yeah,
it wasn't without hesitation.
Wasn't without hesitation. We put a lot of considering into that one, but gosh, Muscle Shoals, they're finally facing a pretty good team. They struggled against Hanley early in the season in a big region game. Muscle Shoals, this is the biggest game they've played all year. Yeah, last year we saw them in a massive game against Mountain Brook, and they didn't show up in the semis. I need them to show up before I can be confident enough to pick those Trojans. And then when I did pick Leroy, so I guess Leroy's going to win state. But I mean, Coosa Christian, it's hard to stop that offense right now.
I agree. Next question here from Rush Harp 127. I'm sure you abbreviated that name a little bit, Rush. Opinion on Vestavia's season and future. So a little two-parter here. Let's talk about their season. Season-wise, it's hard to call it a disappointment because it's another step forward for a building program.
Yeah, it's a step forward, but man, the narrative going into the year, it was their year. But don't get me wrong, you made it to the second round of the playoffs. You made the playoffs, you won.
Yeah, but you had to feel as if they get in the playoffs, it's expected to make the second round. Another solid year for the Rebels, but speaking on their future, you're losing John Paul Head. You're losing your all-world quarterback that's been there for 2 years.
You're losing Jordan Ross.
Losing Jordan Ross, and you have to do what Thompson has done this year, and that is replace your stars. Thompson lost Peter Woods and Tony Mitchell on that defense last season, and it looks like they haven't skipped a beat. Vestavia's got to find a way to do that. They'll have a new quarterback under the helm. There's no doubt in my mind that Coach Robert Evans can get that quarterback to where he needs to be. Not going to speculate on who the quarterback is going to be too much, but I know that they have some guys that are options. I know that they've got some really talented, really athletic players, but on the other side, you've got to replace the production of Jordan Ross, which I think has to be done in mass. It has to be done with multiple players, and because it's really tough to replace a dude like that. So, opinion on their future, this is still a young team with Coach Evans, and I heard Coach Evans say that they are building their strength program to where, Thompson's been doing this for 8 years, building their strength program. And the reason I'm comparing them to Thompson so much is because that's where the bar is right now. And like you said, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And you have to beat them on every level. I think that this is a Vestavia team that was young last year, still young this year, lose some pieces now, but they just have to keep finding ways to take steps forward. I think it's completely possible.
Yeah, I think Vestavia can be a prominent name in 7A here in a few years. Great season for them. Successful. You expect to make the playoffs, and they did that. They just ran into a great Thompson team. Not much you can do. But to that person, great year for Vestavia, and I think the future for them is amazing.
So we have a question here from Jack_the keeper. He asks, how much of a better team do you think Central is than MGM? And I think...
Gosh,
it's tough, and I don't like quote hating unquote on teams, but I think they're a step above. I think they're a step above everybody else in the state, other than maybe Thompson and Saraland. That's just how good the Central team is. They're buzzsaw right now. They've taken care of a really good Auburn team, and I just think that they're ahead of MGM in almost every aspect. Quarterback play, Alford has been debatably the top quarterback in the state this year. Receiver play,
Cam Coleman.
Coleman's probably the top receiver in the state this year, other than Ryan Williams.
DJ Upshaw, I mean, gosh, it's just like...
They have great production from their running game with Zach Simmons.
Great D-line.
And 24, I forget his name. They have great defensive line. It's just in every aspect of the game, they're able to beat you. And that's why we think that they're more of a step ahead. Next question here is from 999PG16. Asks, do you think Central is going to beat Thompson?
Oh,
this is a loaded one now.
This is a loaded one. I almost kind of want to save it. I want.
Yeah, we're gonna save that.
I say we save it because, man, we can go into deep analysis next week about it.
So, Kentrell_R asks, is Hoover still a competitor?
Yes.
Yes.
Winston's a young quarterback. I think they finally found their groove with him late in the season. You give them an off season to figure out a system to build around.
Here's what I think. We have to see if Coach Waldrop can develop players on the same level that Coach Niblett was able to develop players. Different staff. I think last year it was more of a Niblett team than this year, which was more of a Waldrop team. Just my personal opinion. And we have to see if Coach Waldrop now, who has his full system in place, he's got his guys, he's got his coaches, he's got his team, can he make this his team? Can he make this winning team under Coach Waldrop? That's going to be the test if Hoover can stay a competitor. Because let me tell you something. Vestavia, up and coming. Spain Park, up and coming. Spain Park wasn't in the playoffs. If a few things go right for Spain Park in that Spain Park Hoover game, Hoover's not even in the playoffs. They don't even have a chance to play James Clemens and come back. They don't have a chance to play Hewitt-Trussville. And if Spain Park made the playoffs and what they did to Hewitt, we could be talking about a Thompson-Spain Park semifinal game, which would be crazy. So Hoover has teams that are chomping at their feet. They fell a little bit, but they just have to find a way under Coach Waldrop to get back to where they have been in previous years. That's my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, I think Hoover's got time. They've got a young team to build around. He's, as you said, he's got to be able to develop talent, something Niblett did so well at Hoover. And look, I think he can lead Hoover to places put Hoover back where they belong. It's just going to take a little bit. Niblett struggled at the end because of a new dynasty with Thompson. And you just got to find a way to consistently beat Thompson to be able to win, especially in the Metro.
I hear you. And that's going to do it for our podcast today. A little bit under an hour. Really good show, I think. Got to talk about all the games, all the matchups. And we hope to see you guys on our next episode. If you made it this far, give yourself a little pat on the back. Thank you so much. I know it's hard listening to our voices, especially Mason's. I know it's just terrible.
Wow.
But thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys in the next episode.